What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. DMZ missions are where it's at, and specifically today we're looking at a mission for the Legion faction called Thirst for Knowledge. This mission basically tasks you with completing 5 contracts each in less than 1 minute, and you can do this over multiple deployments. However, the 1 minute time allotment is super tight, especially if you're planning on doing this solo. So I will share some tips as to which specific contracts you should be targeting that are easier than others, as well as just some other nuanced points around this mission that can help you get it done solo like I did. Now, just as a quick side note, I have covered missions before that I suggested are much more easier and efficient to do in a group, although you can do them solo, and this mission absolutely is one of those again. This will be significantly easier if you have at least one other player, since you can essentially have one person picking up the contract and the other person already kind of like ready to fire off and get it done, like for example in the case of an HVT contract. If you are planning on doing this solo like I did, most of the contracts simply are not suited for doing within 1 minute. That's due to the fact that some of them have a built-in timer component, like for instance the destroy supplies contract where you have to wait for the explosives to go off, or some of them actually involve potentially a large distance that you have to travel, like the secure intel or secure your cargo delivery. And so these ones you will simply just not be able to do as a solo within the allotted 1 minute. That basically leaves us with 2 contracts that you should be targeting to do. One being HVTs, aka killing a named AI with a bunch of guards around him within 1 minute, and then also securing radioactive material, which is of course getting a Geiger counter and then finding 2 bins with the radioactive rods inside them. Firstly, in the HVT side of it, you can actually in a way cheat this mission in a bit. So if you find an HVT contract, you can search the surrounding buildings, and especially once you start building up some map knowledge of the DMZ, you can oftentimes find these HVTs in familiar areas. So usually HVTs, if in a certain area, will always spawn in the same place. Now what you can do in these cases, and for 3 of my 5 this is the method that I deployed with, is to simply don't pick up the contract yet, but rather go find where the HVT is already standing with his entourage, murder the entourage completely, then go pick up the contract, which starts your 60 seconds, and then quickly mosey on over and just kill the lone standing HVT, which now does not have any guards around him anymore, and you know exactly where he is, since you will see the indication of exactly where he is, and you can absolutely do this within 1 minute. On the securing nuclear material side, this can also be jimmied in a way where essentially what you can do is the very first time you pick this up, you will get that first step where you have to find a Geiger counter. Now unfortunately your 60-second timer starts at this point already, and that kind of like makes it very difficult for you to be able to get the Geiger counter and get to both bins in 60 seconds. However, if you then finish that one and then start the next secure nuclear material one, then you will already have completed the step where you have to find the Geiger counter, and you can simply just move directly onto both bins. Again, in this case you might get lucky and these bins will spawn quite close to one another. Areas where this often happens is up in the desert, so you'll often find sometimes even these 2 circles kind of like overlapping each other, which means you can very easily close the distance and get 2 bins looted and completed within those 60 seconds. Absolutely, having access to a vehicle can also shorten the time in between these, just like my point around map knowledge and the HVT contract. With the secure nuclear material contract, you will oftentimes find these bins will spawn in exactly the same place in consequent drops, as well as doing that contract again in similar areas. So over time you will learn exactly where these bins will be, and it will mean that failed attempts can still help you succeed in the future, because you are able to then predict better where these are going to be. Either which way, the cool thing about this mission is that you don't need to do all 5 of these in one deployment. So you can space this over time, and you can even take one Geiger counter from one deployment to the next. With all of this knowledge in hand, you should be able to do this quite easily, and you can get onto bigger and better things. That's gonna be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything that I wasn't clear about or any other additional assistance that you might need here, as well as checking out the channel for any other missions that I might have covered that you might need help on with. I've got a ton more of these videos coming, as I have a whole bunch of these missions still to complete, and so hopefully, even if it isn't covered yet, it is coming in the future. Either which way, it's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, and evening wherever you are in the world. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.